I called out Jason Cundy today because he was kind of having a pop at Newcastle fans celebrating being in the top 4. He said, they're only happy because they've had failure for so long. And I'm like, there's an element of truth to what you're saying, but you're missing the bigger picture. Newcastle are going to compete, not next season, but Newcastle in the next 3 to 4 years, now they have Champions League football, will start to compete with Man City. So I totally understand their fans celebrating being back in it. I understand Liverpool fans celebrating being back in or getting into the Champions League because they can win it and they will try to win it. I understand what you're saying about a lot of Spurs fans this year have woken up. A lot of Spurs fans like, I don't even want the Champions League. What's the point? We have no chance of winning it and we won't try to.
That's at least they're not getting it.
No, yeah, but I think this was the year. This was the year, I think, that a lot of them realized, hang on, all of this. I think the likes of Sava coming out and calling his own fan base out saying, guys, we attack teams that in their most barren periods of their history win more than us. We attack them. We have got to stop living in cloud cuckoo land with the direction that we're going in. So I kind of look at the celebrating the top 4. You've got to contextualize it. Newcastle fans should be happy they're in it because of their trajectory. One of my questions for you, that's centered around Man United, but it's a wider question because it was being spoken about on Monday Night Football last night. Can the likes of Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, we're going to talk about Arsenal a little bit later on in the show, can they next season challenge this Man City team? Do you think the owners of those clubs and the managers of those clubs have the ability and the ambition more so to challenge City to take the crown off them?
Can I just quickly come back to that Newcastle point?
Yeah.
Newcastle tweeted out last night, job done. They haven't won a trophy for 69 years, Terry. What do you mean job done? Yeah, they haven't won a trophy for 69 years. What do you mean job done? They had a better team, a better manager when they were last in the Champions League, and they didn't win it then. Yes, I understand they've got different ownership now, and they're obviously rightly happy that they're back in the big time. Yeah, but ultimately, if they don't go out in the summer, Newcastle, and go and do what's required, they won't be in it again next season, and they won't be having a go in it this season because they'll get knocked out real quick being in pot 4. They need to go and strengthen. So as well as it is that they've called, they're in Champions League, and they're all happy because they were 19th, 18 months ago. What phase is Eddie Howe in? Does anyone know? Because he's qualified for a competition in his first full season that we couldn't. It's took 3 years. But either way, onto the actual question you asked. Nobody is going to compete with Man City next season because Man City, like I just said a minute ago, are the only football club that do what is required to go and win the title. And the people that are in the chat crying about, oh, they're financial doping, well, that's yet to be proven. Yeah, that's yet to be proven. So if you want to have this loser mentality, yeah, cool. Have this. Oh, yeah, they're financial doping. No, Terry, I'm not having it. I'm sick and tired of top 4 being built up to be a great thing. I'm not having it. Yeah. Well, at the end of the season, there's only one team that get winners' medals. That was Manchester City. You don't get a winner's medal for coming 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. And our manager, by the way, Arsenal's manager, Mikel Arteta, giving it in an interview the other day, that, the same people that predicted us to finish 6th and 7th are now saying that finishing 2nd's a failure. Hello, Mr. Arteta. You get the same thing finishing 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th, mate. Yeah, absolutely nothing. You don't get a title for it, don't get a medal for it, and you don't go on a trophy parade for it, mate. Yeah, so don't sit there trying to mug fans off. Yeah, then he's waffling about a dog. We'll come to that in a bit. But anyway, my point is, my point is, nobody's going to compete with Man City next season because they're too busy getting giddy about top 4. They won't put pressure on the ownership of their football clubs. Yeah, we're sitting there linked to all sorts of like wonderful players, but ultimately, if we only sign one top tier player, whether that's Rice, who some people don't even think is top tier. Now, I think he's quality, but some people don't. Or Caicedo. But then drop a couple of average footballers in there. Everyone would just dress it up as great. When people are talking about thin squads at every club and, Man City have got a super squad. Yeah, maybe Man City understand the aim of elite sport. Yeah, maybe Man City's owners actually want to be successful, not just clean TV money. Yeah, and advertising money and sponsorship money. Maybe they actually want to win. Yeah, because their fan base want to win. And I'll tell you now, if Man City don't win anything next season, their fans will start getting a bit edgy and start saying, next season, not the season coming, if they win nothing next season, the following season, Pep's got to deliver something or they want him out. Yeah, obviously they're not going to not win anything next season because they're the only team that actually try and win stuff. But my point is, no other club will bother. Because when Liverpool, and people that sit there and think this is weird me saying that when Liverpool have competed and got 1 point behind them a few times, yeah? If Liverpool really, really, really wanted to win that league, they would have gone out and bought a few more extra players. because they were 1 point behind twice. Twice they were 1 point behind, right? And they've been in a title race for 4 out of the last 5 seasons. They really, really wanted to go out and win a title, mate. They would have gone out and done an extra couple of 100 million over that last 5 years or over the last 3 years. And they would have really kicked on. They don't. They're not interested because they know that Jurgen Klopp is maximising what he can out of that club on bare minimum resources that they're giving him, right? They had the same starting 11 for 3 years in a row. 4 years in a row, pretty much. Firmino, Salah, Mane up front. Yeah, Henderson in midfield with Fabinho. It's the same 11 every week, the same backline every week, the same keeper every week. So when people want to talk about thin squad, well, how comes they weren't? How comes they were trying to compete? If they really wanted to win it, they would have done more. Man United, Terry, as much as people are laughing and taking the mick out of you lot, you actually have the financial power to go and do it. Yeah, and you can do it. Yeah, you've spent more than most clubs on the planet. But the problem with your fan base is they're happy gassing up Marcus Rashford into oblivion for having a purple patch. So we're going to come on to Neymar and the other players later, yeah?
Well, right? But I think on your point, though, just to step in for a second, I understand what you're saying about Liverpool. They can be happy to be in the Champions League because they know they can win it. If they really wanted to overtake City, I mean, they did overtake City. There was an 18-month period where they were better than City. They didn't continue to invest, and you're right. But where I think
that's the point.
I understand that, but where I think it's different for Newcastle and Man United if the Glazers leave. So if the Glazers stay, I take back what I'm saying about United right now. But with our new owners that should come in when the Glazers eventually make a decision, because what they're doing right now is a disgrace, and with the Newcastle owners, they're going to continue to invest to improve their teams and try and take on City, especially Newcastle. There is no way, shape, or form they're not going to spend to do it. There's another team that isn't being mentioned because they won't compete next year because they're too far behind. But Chelsea's new owners will spend to compete with them. They just need to get better football people running the goddamn football club because they've done £700 million in a season. So there are teams out there that want to do it. It isn't just what you spend to compete with City, because United have done that. It's having the right people around to build the correct culture and ethos at the club. Because as much as City have spent, the way they run the football club is goddamn elite. And I do think Man United, with completing the job of getting back into the Champions League on Thursday against Chelsea, Newcastle doing it last night against Leicester, there is an element of job done because there was no way this season we were winning the Premier League. But I believe the managers of both clubs, I believe the managers that are in there now with what they're trying to build is they are building towards competing with City and beating City to league titles. And it may not happen in the first year, but I believe being in the Champions League will help us. One, finances are important over a longer period of time because both sponsors and direct income from the Champions League increase with that money. That money needs to be pumped into the club and pumped into the infrastructure. Secondly, being in the Champions League, I think, can help make you a better team. It's a higher level of competition. It's a better place to test yourself. City themselves have said it this week. They love being in all the competitions. It keeps them sharp and keeps them alert. And I believe that both Newcastle and Man United, over the next 12 to 18 to 24 months, will develop teams that are moving towards being able to win them. So I understand us being happy being in it because I don't believe that the managers we have and the way, especially Newcastle right now, the way they're being run, the ceiling is just top 4 and we're happy. So I do think there's a happy medium there when you talk about it.
You just said getting in the Champions League can be good. It help you get better as a football club, better income streams, etc., up against better teams and that. Well, the last time you got in there was with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who, by the way, has amassed more points than your manager's going to amass this season in the Premier League.
Not in his first season, he didn't.
Well, that's irrelevant. In his last season, when he was at his worst, in
his last season, we've surpassed it, and in his first season,
his last full season. Yeah, his last full season, he got you in the Champions League on 74 points.
But
then he got you straight in the Europa League.
You've got to judge Ole. No. You've got to judge Ole on what he went out on. You've got to judge the manager from what he took over from. If, for instance, Ten Hag came in last summer, where we finished second, I think it was second in the league and lost that Europa League final, and took over from there, the expectations this year would be higher. But he took over a team and a club that was on its arse after having its worst season in 40 years. We can't suddenly start judging. We can't suddenly start judging Ten Hag based on Ole's third season when he's not in his third season. He's overhauling everything that was built before him, and he's got to be judged
Hold
like
on,
for
hold on,
like.
hold on.
Like for
Terry,
like.
I understand that. I accept that. I get that. But you're saying he's overhauling everything that he inherited and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
He's just giving David De Gea a new contract, Luke Shaw a new contract.
Okay,
They have been at that football club. Hold on. They have been at that football club way too long and been part of every single embarrassing defeat that your football club has had, including the biggest defeat against Liverpool ever in your history. Yeah. And what did he do? The very next game, he started the same 11 again. Right. Then in that particular game that you started next, you dropped a 2-goal lead to draw 2-2 against Sevilla at home, right? Then went away to him and got battered, right?
Right. I know all of this. Like you label off the games that have gone wrong. However, you're not reading the news.
Making up Champions League is going to make you better under 10.
It will. Again, it may not. It may foul in the end, but I believe that's what he's aiming.
All the players are still here.
So what you're alluding from my point is this: no one has stated that in the space of a year, every player that we don't want anymore will be cleared out. It's going to take time for the manager to clear people out. You actually read the news surrounding David De Gea. What do you mean? Why? You're telling me you can sell 23 players in one summer and buy 23?
Forest did it, mate.
Are they
28?
But you've said that not. Hang on a minute. But you also state that teams that don't win the Premier League, like Nottingham Forest, are failing.
Well, did I say they've achieved anything? You just why get rid of 23 players? Well, Nottingham Forest did.
So you believe this summer Man United should get rid of 10, 15 players and buy the 10, 15 more. You think that's the right way to operate?
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
What's so funny here?
No one does that and wins.
Nobody does that and wins. Okay, cool. Go and tell me how many players Antonio Conte in his first season signed, and got to a Europa League final and then tell me how many Sevilla brought that summer and actually won the Europa League final against Inter Milan. Tell me the answer. Tell me the answer.
So winning the Europa League for Man United is success. We're not even in that.
Not winning it. Would you rather win it or not win it?
Well,
Terry. You've asked me who's done it and won stuff.
I'm not.
You haven't asked me. Okay. Listen, success is not attached solely to and different levels of success per club. You either win or you don't. You asked me how many clubs can do that and win. Well, Inter Milan.
Why are you then? Hang on a minute. So if it's about
Atletico's done it as well.
Hang on a minute. But you're now attacking my manager. He's won a trophy this year. But you should be lauding up my manager because he's won a trophy this year with the squad that you said weren't good enough. You also said after we got beat by had that embarrassing result that we'd fall off and wouldn't even make the top 4.
Hold on. Everyone gets predictions wrong, Terry. We're talking about the basic facts here. You said what club can get rid of all them players and go and win stuff and achieve stuff? Well, I've just given you 3 clubs that have done it. Go and tell me how many players Antonio Conte signed.
So again, Sevilla in 2020 signed 11 players in the summer.
11 players. How many did they get rid of?
So not 15, and they sold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So there was a 16-player overhaul.
But you said no.
And they won the Europa League in the first season.
Lee, specifically.
What are you chatting about?
You said 15 out, 15 in. That's 5 out. So you're
go and tell me how many Atletico Madrid signed. Or in fact, go to Inter Milan. Go to Inter Milan.
What season?
The first season under Antonio Conte.
What season?
They didn't win it, but the second season they did. How many did they sign?
What season? Tell me. There's loads.
How many players has Ten Hag signed?
What season is it, Lee? You've told me to check a season. What year?
The season Antonio Conte won the league.
What year was it? Tell me what year it was, so I can. There's multiple years.
2021.
2021.
2021. 2019, 20. I don't know. He was there. First season he was there. He signed about 15 players.
Okay. I'm waiting.
Got to the Europa League final and lost. The following season, he won the league.
So the first season he was there. Okay. So the first season he was there, he signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He signed 8 players in 1920 season. 8 players.
Go the following
and he sold. And wait. Let's do it slowly. Calm down. Let's cook. So he signed 9, and he sold 1, 2 in the summer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So again. He bought 9, but sold 7. You said sell 15, buy 15. Okay. You've not got me an example of that yet.
Hold on. Hang on. That's again another 16-player spin.
Stop, Lee. I said, show me an example of a manager in one summer has sold 23 players and bought 23. You can't do it.
Terry,
it takes time. So you already stop. You're already agreeing with me. It took.
The mental gymnastics here is insane.
Lee, you need to let me finish, right? You turned around and said 23 out, 23 in. Then you've just stated that Antonio Conte did it over a couple of seasons. You just had a go at me for saying it's going to take a few seasons for my manager to clear players out and bring new people in.
Perfect.
You're literally
how many players did he get rid of in the summer?